Alright guys, what's up with it? Welcome back to another video. Now I'm going to try and make this one as clean as I possibly can. But this is a little confusing, but I wanted it to explain the Valentine's Day event to you guys because it is actually relevant for progression in BWL, and I'll tell you why. So the Valentine's Day event has some buffs that it can give us that are actually very significant. Now there's also the Dark Moon Fair right now, which that's a whole separate deal, but you can Google that and find that pretty easy on Wowhead. There is a 10% damage buff that you can get if you're playing Moonkin, or there's various buffs, but the 10% damage one is the one that's a big one that you can go get for free, and it's a 2-hour buff. So you can stack that with your Onyxia head drop as well as your DM tribute buffs. Then in addition to all of that, you can also get these buffs, which you can actually use in raid. So they last for an hour, but if you do die, you can actually recast the buff on yourself. So for Horde, which is the example I'm going to be using, and that's the one that I know because I've kind of figured it out on Horde side, you have Undercity, Ogremar, and Thunderbluff. All three of those, basically, you have three in each city. You have three things, that you can gather. So in Undercity, for example, you got to run around and talk to these NPCs that have hearts all over their heads here, and they're going to give you an item to open. When you open that item, you're going to get one of three things: either moldy cards, pledge of loyalty, or romantic poem. Once you get 5 of any of these, you can then combine them to these different other items. These are kind of mixed. It should be like this, So you get a sheaf of cards, you get a Undercity pledge, or you get a book of romantic poems. And then once you have one of all 3 of these, you can combine that, and then it's going to give you an hour-long buff. And Undercity's buff is 30 intellect. I did test this. It does stack with Arcane Intellect for mages. So this is an added value, especially on progression. This is significant, increasing your mana pool and your crit chance. So I personally am going to be farming up to at least have a few of these. I don't know how much of these we're going to use if we're wiping a handful of times, but it's worth noting because for speed running or any kind of stuff like that, you are going to want to have these. Now, in order to be able to interact with these guards, you can see here, it's not going to show it, but when you click them, there's a flavor text at the bottom that says like, hey, give me a box of whatever. And in order to activate that dialogue, you have to either put on cologne or perfume, as well as have these love tokens in your inventory. And you can purchase these from the innkeeper in any city, as well as some other vendors like general trade good vendors. And that's how you interact with these mobs. Certain mobs, let's see if we can find one. Like, so right now I have the perfume buff, and some of them you can't see it because it's not, I'm not finding any of them either, but they'll say the top of their text will say, oh, I wish you had cologne on. So some of them you'll have to switch which fragrance you have on in order to interact with them. And from what I can tell, these guards drop a very high chance of what they give you dropping this pledge of loyalty. Same in all of the cities, the guards drop this pledge, and then the other NPCs, so like if we go over here, we'll find something that's not a guard, have a higher chance of giving you either like the moldy card or the romantic poem. See, so this is a good example. This guy doesn't have, I know it's off the screen for you guys and I apologize for that, but I can't click anything here. Whereas if I go here and I put on the cologne now, I can go over here and then now I have the flavor text to talk to him. And then I can open that, yep, and he's got a romantic poem. So with that being said, that's how you gather these 3 things up. You want to wait and not combine the 3 like books until you want to actually get the buff for 1 hour. So hold these and you can stockpile these up and then use them in raid. Now, each city is different. Undercity is intellect, Ogremar is agility, and Thunderbluff is stamina. I don't know how it's spread out for Alliance, but that's how it is for us on Horde side. And you want to make sure that when you do consume these, you're going to get a present. And then if you get a present of each city, you can combine those presents into a token, which you turn in to the Cupid guy. I'll reiterate this because it's kind of confusing. And then he's going to give you a box of chocolates. The box of chocolates are another buff that you can get. So for us, you can get 2% hit chance for 1 hour, which allegedly this works as spell hit as well. I haven't confirmed that. There's not a way for me to easily test that, but that is what people are saying. There's also this very berry cream, which is 23 bonus spell damage for 1 hour. So it's like a 80% of a greater arcane elixir for 1 hour. So this is actually really significant. So I'm trying to stockpile as many of these as I can, as well as that 30 intellect buff, just to help with the progression stuff. We'll see. Hopefully we don't lose the buffs, but it's very similar to world buffs. Just another thing you can do to kind of top off. So again, you put on the cologne or perfume, talk to the guards and NPCs within each city. Each city will give you a certain buff once you've accumulated enough items. Once you have 5 of each of the 3 options, you can then turn it into a book or sheaf of cards or whatever, and you combine one of each of those 3 items into the present. The present combining aspect is what gives you the 1 hour buff of the intellect, agility, or stamina, each of which being from a different city. Once you combine all 3 of those presents from the city, you can turn that in and you get a guaranteed box of chocolates, which will have some combination of these 1 hour buff tokens in them. Now, the other thing I want to point out is you can see this adored option at the top. This is a 1 hour debuff that you get. Each hour that you go, you can go and talk to the mob, and the first mob you talk to has a chance of giving you basically like a package of adoration, which has a higher chance of having a box of chocolates in it. Now, the box of chocolates are really what you're going for because those are easier to accumulate more of them. Sometimes you can see actually what just happened right here is you'll get a heartbroken debuff when you talk to an NPC and try and gather a package, in which case you get these other items called unbestowed friendship bracelets, but you can only cast them on another player. So you're going to have to find someone, and a lot of people you'll see spamming in trade to trade this with one another, and you cast it on them and they'll cast it on you, and it gets rid of this debuff. So you want to keep these unbestowed friendship bracelets, in which case that's how you remove this buff off of each other, but it has to be onto another person. You can't do it onto yourself. I know that's kind of like a wall of information. Hopefully that helps clarify the value of this, but again, the 30 stamina and the 30 intellect for sure are very, very valuable buffs for any caster. I'm not worried about getting the 30 agility buff, so I'm not going to be messing around in Ogremar too much with this. But for Thunderbluff, as well as in Undercity, it's very, very going to be very good to farm these up, especially because you can stack a bunch of these up in your inventory. So anyways, hopefully that helps, guys. Let me know if you guys have questions on this. I'm happy to try and explain because this was a lot of trial and error because there's not very much information of this out at all. And this is actually really massive, especially for the first week of BWL in combination with the Dark Moon Fair buffs. Look that up. Get all this stuff ready to go for your guys' raid progression. Good luck in BWL, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.